This is Lazo.
Hello. Learning how to read BBMP budget under the guidance of T.R. Raghunandan sir. Just a little bit about T.R. Raghunandan sir he is an ex-IAS officer. He served as a joint secretary for Government of India in the Ministry of Panchayat Raj. He also served as the secretary for Rural Development and Panchayat Raj for the Karnataka state. After that, he's taken a volunteer retirement from IAS. He was a part of Janagraha, and through the Janagraha, he's also led the I Paid a Bribe.com initiative between 2010 through Janagraha for crowdsourcing the reports of corruption from citizens. He's currently working as a consultant with several Indian states, 14th and 15th finance commissions, panchayats, and their advocacy associations, and other countries on different issues, including corruption, decentralization, etc. So this is just about T.R. Raghunandan sir, and I would like to invite him to please share his knowledge amongst us.
Yeah, Genesia, if I may add, we are lucky to have this session by T.R. Raghunandan sir. This is our 10th session. He has already conducted sessions on people's participation about KMC Act and what are the responsibilities of corporator and many other related topics. I'm very happy to. I'm very happy to say that we are so lucky to have him conduct these sessions in not only in English but also in Kannada. We will alternate Kannada and English sessions. So next week we will have Kannada sessions. Today's session will be in English. ಮುಂದಿನ ವಾರ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಸೆಷನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಹಕರಿಸಬೇಕು. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ದವರು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇದೇ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಮುಂದಿನ ವಾರ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದೇ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಸ್ಯಾಟರ್ಡೆ 2:30 ಗೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ವಾರ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Thanks, Raghunandan sir.
Yeah, can you please share your screen?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yes.
On participants annotation, in which we will look at infrastructure items essentially. I would again like to go back. I'm repeating this slide. I mean, many of those who are regular here will get irritated with me, but I'm repeating this slide because I really want all of you to understand this one single point. Every year in the past 7 years, from 2013-14, and it is possible that even before that, but we have data from 2013-14, every year the BBMP has been making an overestimated budget and then underperforming on that overestimated budget. So what they do is they give an estimate, then they revise the estimate dramatically. The actuals are much lower than the original estimate, and the difference is huge. It can be anything from 63% to only 1 year when there was an administrator, it was 2%, but otherwise it has never come down below 26%. So on an average, we can say that every year the BBMP underperforms. It makes a promise to the citizens, and then it does not perform according to that promise to an extent of at least about 25 to 30%. Even generously, they are only able to do about 75% of their promised budget to us. And this has had a terrible impact on the transparency of the BBMP and what exactly the work that is being turned out by the BBMP. This is a point that I want to repeatedly emphasize. So the big question for us is, if year after year income does not match expectations, how can expenditure match expectations? That's an obvious question. If you don't have the money to spend, then you cannot spend the money, and therefore your expectations cannot be matched. But then the question arises that there are so many priorities, and amongst the priorities, which are the priorities which are sacrificed, and which are the items that are actually wherein the expenditure can incur. This is something very important, and this is something that we should really look at, because that shows us how the BBMP is proceeding in this way. So if you look at the expenditure departments of BBMP, last time I had shown this slide, we have all these items: estate, asset management, public works, zonal. They are all part of the infrastructure department or the infrastructure sector as such. 6 items I have classified. We have under health and public health, we have health, general health, medical and solid waste management, environmental services, horticulture, urban forestry and lakes. Education and social justice is education and welfare. Administration is again a number of items which people undertake within the BBMP, where their work happens within the BBMP. Council, GAD, finance, account planning, etc. comes in. Today's presentation, we are going to cover, of course, before this, I wanted to show you 56% of the allocation goes towards infrastructure. Education and social justice is next. It is 11%. Health is 10%. Administration takes about 17% of the allocation, and environment takes about 6% of the allocation. Today, what we are going to do is we are going to look at these items, but we are only going to look at public works because to cover estate projects, road related, I know these are important things, but if you get an idea of public works, you will understand what is the mess up in the other items also. This is something that you will understand. So I am going to get into a deep dive on public works zonal. I will also demonstrate to you some of the ongoing research that is happening. Even now there are people working on this. So I can always provide more detail to anybody who is interested on any sector. But because of the limitations of the presentation, we will only be getting into public works zonal, which is the most important. Zonal public works means the works that are actually taking place in the wards. These are very important. I am going to look at horticulture, urban forestry, and lakes. To many of us, this is a very important area. We are, a lot of us are environmentally very interested in what is happening to the BBMP. I will describe that in all detail. I will go into all the three items. And of course, last time we had left out welfare. This is a very important aspect of BBMP's work. So I will be looking at welfare also in today's presentation. Now, with respect to all these budget items, if you look at this, public works, horticulture, urban forestry, lakes, and welfare, 5 items that I'm going to cover today. With respect to all this, I'm asking a few questions. Is there a big variation between the expenditure of 2018-19 and the original budget estimate of 19-20? And is there a big difference between the revised estimate of 2019 and the current budget estimate of 2021? Why I am asking these questions about 3 years is we should know whether the experience of the previous year is being used by us properly in order to identify and ascertain what is going to be the budget for the current year. See, every year, as I said, the budget is presented, then the budget is reduced, but expenditure is incurred, and then the next year again you repeat the same mistake. So the point is, if the answer to this question is yes, that every year they're overestimating, that means BBMP doesn't know how to prepare a budget estimate. That is a very important point. If the BBMP does not know how to prepare a budget estimate, then all of us are in serious danger of not knowing what the BBMP is going to spend the money on. So there is a consistent optimism in the budget and severe underperformance year after year, and this is in the social sector. If you look at the social sector expenditure, you will find that 2018-19 expenditure was 348 crore. 2019-20 was 1,249 crore. Even though expenditure in 18-19 was only 348 crore. The social sector, welfare sector budget of the BBMP, the budget was increased to 1,249 crore, almost 5 times more. Then it was sharply reduced to 520 crore. We don't know how much of that 520 crore has been spent because, as you know, BBMP doesn't provide us information on expenditure of the previous year. Yet in the current year, they have estimated 1,026 crore of expenditure. How can they spend 1,026 crore of expenditure when in the previous year they had reduced their estimate to 520? And the previous year, they are only spent 348 crore. It doesn't make sense at all. You cannot just increase the budget by 3 times and expect that somehow it will be spent. It doesn't get spent. It gets spent if there are good programs on which something can be spent. So obviously the social sector budget doesn't call for any confidence. The other problem about the welfare budget expenditure is highly fragmented. There are 158 line items of expenditure in the budget. Genesia sat down and typed down every single point of these, and when we looked at it, we discovered that out of 158 line items, 61 items have got zero allocation for the year. Now, if 61 items have got zero allocation for the year, you may ask me the question, why is it cluttering the budget? They are scattered all over the budget. You have to keep sorting out and taking out these items. They are there in the budget because they are the residual expenditure of previous years. These are the old budget line items of expenditure where money is being spent. So there's no standardized budgeting format. Money for the previous year, if it is being spent in a line item, they will create a new line item for the current year, but the previous line item will continue, which is why you have almost 61 items which show zero expenditure for the current year, but they are still in our budget because there was expenditure on those line items, or there was an allocation on those line items in 19, 20 and 18-19. So there are many line items which don't give any detail of what the money is going to be spent. I'll give you examples. It is very easy for us to combine the line items to make it easy for us to interpret. The budget is deliberately made confusing. Easily the budget size can be reduced by half by taking out all the redundant items and placing it separately. There are many tiny programs in the social welfare expenditure with very questionable impact. 10 cycles are given in X ward. That's a line item. Some statue is being built somewhere. Do you know the number of statues that are being built under welfare? I don't know for whose welfare it is. Do you know the amount of money that is spent on various festivals? For whose welfare is it? Tiny allocations made with questionable impact, and then comes a big problem. Out of 1,000 crore, they are expecting current works. Current works means we don't know what those current works are because the details of the work is not mentioned. In some line items, they say construction of school building, construction of Kalyana Mandapa, construction of houses, construction of this, construction of that. I've got the entire item. But there is also these 7 items which total to 200 crore, which just says current works. Similarly, you have pending bills, 3 crore, spillover works under various items of 142 crore. Which means that there are lot of items on which expenditure keeps happening for previous year's work, and it just keeps on continuing. It keeps on continuing to the next year and the next year, and we don't know which are those works which are coming over, spilling over, on which expenditure is incurred. Now, let us look at environmental services departments. This comprises of 3 categories: lakes, horticulture, and forestry. Lakes is allocation of 308 crore, looks very big. Forestry, 73 crore. But when you look at actual expenditure, if you look at lakes, out of the 308 crore allocation, 200 crore is just a deposit with the BDA and BWSSB. BBMP does not do any direct work. BBMP has been directed by the Central Pollution Control Board. There is a punishment and NGT order is there. So 200 crore is just transferred to the BDA and BWSSB, and it is calculated as expenditure here. And citizens have to go to the BDA and BWSSB to ask questions on the implementation of the Bellandur cleaning program. But because there is a court order, BBMP has made the money, allocated the money, and it will probably make the deposit also, because otherwise they will be called up for contempt of court. Again, you will see there are 5 line items of pending bills for 7 crores and spillover works in many of the other lakes worth 50 crore. This allocation is made for lakes. If you look at horticulture allocation, again the same problem. Every year there is underperformance. In 18-19, the expenditure was 80 crore. But in 19-20, the original estimate was 234 crore. And then the revised estimate was again 80 crore. Now this year they have made the budget for 219 crore. How do you expect them to touch 219 crore of expenditure when the previous year they had revised the estimate from 230 to 80? There are many questions that we need to ask about the horticulture department and also the forest department. Forest department is also exactly the same. Expenditure is a measly 12 crore. Just 12 crore rupees was spent by forestry. Tree planting, roadside tree planting. But last year they made a budget of 62 crore. even though in 18-19 expenditure was just 12 crore, they made a budget of 62 crore and they reduced it to 9 crore. This year they have made an allocation of 73 crore. But last year the revised estimate is only 9 crore. So is the allocation on forestry coming down from 12 crore to 9 crore? And then this year, I don't know what the expenditure is going to be, whether they are going to plant anything at all in the current year, because the expenditure seems to be coming down. So what is happening is, on the whole issue of environment, we have to ask a few questions. Is it a case of lethargy? Is it a case of lack of priority, lack of interest? Is it a case of lack of land? Or is it the BBMP suffers from a genuine lack of capacity? Every year they make an ambitious budget and then it is drastically cut. Expenditure is drastically reduced. The only exception is as far as the lakes budget is concerned, where people have gone to court and the court has forced the BBMP to spend 200 crore, but even that 200 crore is not being spent directly. It is being deposited in another body with no people's participation, that is BWSSB and the BDA. BDA is as corrupt as BBMP. I don't understand why the BBMP cannot do the work on its own lakes. But unfortunately, this is what the court has held. The court says you take the money and you give it to BDA and BWSSB. So as citizens, we are moving from a situation where at least in BBMP there's a ward committee. But today there's no ward committee system for BDA or for the BWSSB, but we have to go there. So what is the way, is the court telling us, or is the strategy that the only way to move is to go to a green judge, to go to a sympathetic court and get a directive to the BBMP, and the BBMP will make the allocation? But is that the way to run a city corporation? I don't know. I don't think that's the way to run a city corporation, but unfortunately that's the way it seems to be happening as far as the environment sector is concerned. To sum it up, the environment sector is underperforming. Budgets are made, allocations are made, they are not implemented, except with one exception, which is the Bellandur Lake. Now let me come to the big fish, infrastructure. As I said, in the infrastructure, we spend something like 65% of the BBMP budget is spent on infrastructure. Within that infrastructure, 65%, 71% is spent by public works zonal. All the little work that you see in your ward, some drain being cleaned, some road, some culvert, all that is included in the public works zonal. But there is also something called Project Central, which is 4%, 260 crore. Central roads, that is the major arterial roads of the city, are looked after centrally. They are not a ward level work because they connect from one ward to the other ward. So that is 812 crore. Stormwater drain is 248 crore, 4%. Electrical is the street lighting and all that is happening. That is 360 crore. And there is a small budget of 74 crore, which is 1% of the infrastructure budget, where BBMP spends on the maintenance of its own buildings, like Jayanagar shopping complex, that's a BBMP structure, like public utility building, that's a BBMP structure. So there are many properties of the BBMP, and the maintenance of those properties, markets, etc. is counted under estate. Because of lack of time, today I will be looking at public works, but let me again say this. Anybody who wants any information, because we have completely digitized the BBMP's current budget, we should be able to put people on the job to get as good an answer as you can get. I am not saying we can give 100% accurate answer, because some details are just not available in the BBMP budget. I will just show you exactly what the problem is. But let me come to public works zonal, which is the biggest fish. 71%, 4,200 crore is spent on public works zonal. All the works taking place in the zone and at the ward level. Again here, same story. High expectations, low delivery. If you see, this is the picture. In 18-19, the expenditure was 2,363 crore. In 19-20, the estimate was 4,400 crore, almost 80% more. But they revised it. In 19-20, the revised estimate is again crashed. It is less than the expenditure in 18-19. It has come down from 2,363 crore to 2,119 crore. But does that teach us a lesson? No. In the current year, we have budgeted for 4,285 crore. How are we going to spend 4,285 crore when in the previous year you reduce your estimate from 4,500 almost to 2,100? So I don't expect that we are going to get more than 50% of this budget actually executed on the ground, if you go by experience. If the BBMP does better, hats off to them. But I am going by the experience of the past, and you will see that I have no great expectations that the BBMP will spend anything more than 50%. We can expect that the budget will be slashed. There are 441 line items in this budget. Devilishly difficult to analyze. I think Genesia has sat up to almost 50% of the night typing out, correcting, because there were a few errors, mistakes, inconsistencies, and my friend Swarup has been doing the same thing. And since morning 5 o'clock, I have been working on this. Out of the 441 items, 242 show zero allocation. As I said, the reason why they are carried in the budget is because expenditure was incurred on these items in previous years, or money was kept aside in the original or revised estimate. That is the reason why these 242 items are there, and they are scattered. We have to sort it out. So when you remove it, we have only about 199 items where actually expenditure is going to be incurred, and that is the allocation. We don't know whether expenditure is going to be incurred. We know that there's an allocation being made. So that is a very interesting point over here. Now, here is a very interesting point. I tried to find out, okay, if 4,200 crores being done at the zone level and from the zone level to the ward level, can we find out how much work is happening in each of the 200 wards? Not fully possible. Possible to some extent, but not possible fully. Because the allocations made to the ward come through many nomenclatures, many names, development works, special development works, comprehensive development works. Now, what's the difference between a development work, a special development work, and a comprehensive development work? Now, that's one game going on, where allocation is made ward-wise with different generic names, and you cannot find out what these are. There's another game going on. There are 28 MLAs, and you know, according to the constitution, every MLA is ex officio a member of the BBMP. So there's an assembly constituency wise allocation. The MLA gets a separate allocation. That money also goes to a ward. But then you have to find out which ward is there in which constituency, which is not a difficult task. It can be done. We know which constituency. Luckily, in Bangalore, the constituencies are more or less summation of the wards. So there's no problem that way. No ward is split between two constituencies. So assembly constituency wise allocation is also there without indicating specific allocation to wards. End of the day, through this process, because of the generic nature in which allocation is made, there is no way that you can know precisely how much money is allocated and spent and on what in a ward. Now, many of you are interested in going to a ward committee meeting. There have been NGOs which have been fighting for ward committees. Now ward committees have been established. Very recently, government also took a good step. They said that ward committees will meet to decide the COVID response, etc. You can do all that. You can participate. But if you ask in the ward committee, even to your to a councillor, he or she may be a nice person. They may be honest and sincere. You ask them, Madam, sir, can you tell us how much of money is being spent under the zonal works allocation? Forget about even the other allocations. Under the zonal works allocation, can you tell us how much money is being spent and on what in a ward? They won't be able to tell you from the budget because of this mess. So this is, I try to look at the whole idea of discretionary funding, how it was used in the past. Now look at this, very interesting. In 2018-19, Discretionary work sanctioned by the mayor was 185 crore. 185 crore is more than the horticulture and the forest budget put together. It was decided by a single person. Honorable Mayor decided 185 crore will be spent. The budget estimate was 300 crore for the next year, and the revised estimate is 220 crore. Now you look at this. Bangalore City in charge minister's discretionary grant. 65 crore was spent by Bangalore City in charge minister. Who is the Bangalore City in charge minister? Can anybody tell me? The chief minister. And now I'm not talking about this chief minister, even the previous chief minister, because we are talking about 1819, right? The previous chief minister and the current chief minister are not members of the BBMP. Think about it. The previous chief minister and the current chief minister are not elected from Bangalore. They are not members of the BBMP. They are given a discretionary fund in the BBMP money. 65 crore was spent, but the budget estimate for the next year was 360 crore. 360 crore. That is more than the budget for environment, more than the budget for lakes, horticulture, and forest put together. Right? All of you are so interested in the environment. Please understand that the chief minister, who is not a member of the BBMP, was estimated to get 360 crore. Of course, the estimate was reduced to 180 crore. But still, then there is something called Reserve Fund for T&F Committee. There is a finance committee, standing committee, that has been given 91 crore, 90 crore, and it has spent 91 crore. Okay. Work sanctioned by deputy mayor, 60 crore. So if the mayor gets an allocation of 180 crore, deputy mayor gets an allocation of 60 crore. If you read the KMC Act, the deputy mayor has no executive responsibility. Basically, the role of the deputy mayor is, if the mayor is fallen ill or if the mayor is traveling somewhere, then the deputy mayor chairs the meeting. That's it. But then the deputy mayor was given a discretionary fund of 60 crore. The honorable commissioner has a discretionary fund also. 31 crore was estimated for 2019, and he has spent 17 crore at his discretion. Now look at this. There's another wonderful thing called development works for Bangalore City. What were the other items that we were talking? There were other items. I mean, the whole budget is about development, right? But there's a discretionary fund for development fund for Bangalore City, which is 24 crore. That was the expenditure. Luckily, it was cut down in the next year's budget estimation to 7.5 crore. And here, just look at it. Deputy mayor has got one discretionary fund already for 60 crore. But another 1 crore discretionary fund was given to the deputy mayor for a program called Maraliba Aattada Maidanakke. Come to the playground. So deputy mayor gets 1 crore allocation, and he spent 67 lakhs on that. To whom did he give that money? What was it spent on? God knows. We don't know. We only know that this much money has been spent. So just take a look at it. 443 crore was given in the past. I'm talking only about 1819, and in 1920 it was estimated to be almost 600 crore. Discretionary fund was given under the zonal works to various individuals, including the chief minister, who is the minister in charge of Bangalore City, who is not an elected member of BBMP. He's not elected by us, but he is getting the money. But you look at the current year's allocation, nothing is there in the current year's allocation. There are no such items that for deputy mayor, there's nothing. Instead, 892 crore has been given in just simple words. Current works 565 crore. Pending bills pending bills, there's a discretionary fund for pending bills for 309 crore. Spillover works 18 crore. Okay, 309 crore pending bills. Now, what's a pending bill? Somebody has taken up some work in the past. The person comes and says, sir, nanage ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡಿ sir, nanage payment ಬೇಕು. And at the discretion of somebody, payment is made. Okay? It could be a ghost work. Work never happened. I went and desilted, desilted stormwater drain. There was an emergency. I desilted the stormwater drain 3 years back. Make my payment. I don't have a photograph. I don't have anything. If you go and inspect the drain now, it is again full of silt because every 6 months you have got to desilt. It's basically party time. Everybody has a good time. Everybody is making loads of money on this. If there is a pending bill, then the pending bill has to have a proper record of the work being transacted in the past. And then payment must be made for pending bills in order of seniority. Older bills get paid first. Later bills get paid later on. That is the system. That is how you avoid corruption, by putting everybody into a queue. And the work is authenticated, the work is checked. No, nothing of the sort is done. Pending bills 309 crore has been kept aside. Current works 565 crore has been kept aside by way of discretionary fund. My point is, if a current work is taken up, it is taken up under some other budget head. Now, if it is taken up under some other budget head, why can't you undertake it under that budget head and make payment from that budget head? Why do you need a discretionary fund for current work? There's absolutely zero discipline in budgeting. It's clear. That is what you can see from the zonal works budget. But let me just show you what we are doing, what Aam Aadmi Party is doing, what our researchers are doing. This is what I was doing till 5 minutes before I came here and sat down. Just forgive me because this is not in lakhs. Sorry, this is not in crores. This is in lakhs. But this was what a colleague of mine and I were doing here. What we were doing is trying to trace the BBMP budget to a zone and to a local level at the ward level. What we are finding is, if you see item number 3, we are able to attribute some money to a ward to an extent of 325 crore. If you see here, you can see 325 crore, third line, direct attribution possible. But here is a very important thing. No attribution possible is about 2,700 crore. 2,700 crore worth of money you cannot attribute. You don't know where it is going to be spent. The only way you can check is to get a list of the works. And the list of the works is not in the budget. You have to go and get an RTI application file. So out of 3,442 crore of capital expenditure and revenue expenditure of 8,842 crore, 797 crore is not attributable in revenue expenditure, and capital 2,700 crore is not attributable. This is the problem. We cannot attribute to a ward. So the question that I was talking about, as a person in a ward, as a person attending a ward committee meeting, you should be able to have an answer. Give or take a few lakhs. How much money is being spent in the ward, and which are the works that have been sanctioned? You cannot find out because this attribution of works is not made in the budget. You have to go and search. You have to file RTI applications. Similarly, we try to look at accounts by sector and seeing which are the monies that can actually be attributed. And if you see column number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no possible. You find for all these items, the row labels, no attribution is possible at all. Only with respect to infrastructure, you can do some kind of attribution. If possible, you can do some attribution. Some attribution is possible in the case of sports because they have indicated where the money will be spent, which playground the money will be spent. To that extent, to an extent of 4 crore rupees, you can find out where the money is being spent. Now, similarly, traceability of budgets by sector. This is a little confusing for you to understand, but it's exactly the same. The direct attribution possible, you can see which are the columns. The fourth column from the left, you will see direct attribution possible. That is where you can reasonably find out to the ward level where the expenditure is being incurred. But you look at a no attribution possible. It's not possible for you to get at least from the budget where the money is going to be spent, in which ward the money is going to be spent. Similarly, for capital budgets, we have done the detail. The short point I want to make here is, if there is anybody, I am telling you, if there's anybody amongst you who want to ask these questions, we should be able to help you. We should be able to get you some figure that is better than what you have today. That is what we have achieved by computerizing, by completely digitizing the budget, by creating a database, and by putting some really good people. I mean, I'm talking about my colleagues are people. We've been consultants to national authorities on the job of fiscal tracking, so we know what we are doing. But this capability we have, and we should be able to provide you the information. But let me come to the end. The BBMP is in a mess. The budget process in the BBMP is a runaway horse. And this has not happened today. To us, conservatively speaking, this is years of indiscipline, at least 7 years of indiscipline, where every year they've given a high budget and then reduced it. High budget and reduced it. Everybody has their own slush fund in the BBMP. It's spent like pocket money. Without conforming to any plan, no participation. The mayor, the commissioner, the councillors, the MLA, the chief minister, as a minister in charge of Bangalore, everybody today can fool around with the BBMP budget through formal and informal means, by calling up, picking up phones, talking to people, to an extent of 800 crore. And this year, even less details are available about discretion. Earlier, the discretion was given. Mayor could spend so much, CM could spend so much, commissioner could spend so much. Now we don't know. We don't know anything about who is given what to spend. I want to ask you this question. Would you run your household budget like this? Everybody says, oh, government, very complicated. No, this is not complicated. This is not complicated. Every one of you, even your youngest person here, somebody who is 20 years old and getting a pocket money, or somebody who's 80 years old and living on a pension, all of you do budgeting. Very simple. You know how much money you require. You know what you're going to spend on. You know this much is required for savings. You do it. Even mentally, you do it. Is this how you run your household budget? Those of you who are employed, is this how you run your professional budget? Certainly not. I mean, if you're in a company, you know what the rules are. If you do not have your AGM, if you do not produce your audited accounts, you go to jail as a director. Everybody is conducting meetings by end of July, end of August, getting your accounts ready. Your statutory auditor has done this. Your pre-audit is completed. Your board of directors discusses it. You file it with the company law board. If you don't, you go to jail. You pay a fine. Why should your city budget be run like this? Why are we tolerating this nonsense? It's our money. And this budget is designed to not let you know how much money is being spent in your ward. Forget about the big things. There are some people who will want to know what's happening with the arterial roads, what is happening with the flyover, what's happening with Bellandur Lake, whatever it is, big issues. But for ordinary people, the least you want to know is to find out what's happening in front of your house. 3 days back, we had flash floods here where I am living. There was water flowing through the drains. The water burst out from the drain. Road sewage water came into my layout almost up to my house because of the cloud burst. Can I find out how much money is being spent in Hagadur ward? No, I cannot find out. It is designed for that purpose, to prevent us from knowing this. So how can we monitor the BBMP? Again, I am repeating it. We need volunteers. Institutionally, there is a requirement for an expenditure information network. But what we need is to file an RTI every month for every department asking for expenditure detail. And that was what I was saying right in the beginning. If we get 5 to 6 or even 10 volunteers, we can give the 19 departments, we can spread it. Maybe for works, for zonal works, we need to put 3 people or 4 people, really bright sparks, to go there, find out, file an RTI, find out the details, how much of work is happening, what are the details, and accumulate it. Because there is an accounting system in the BBMP. There is an accounting system because at the end of the day, they produce an account. They don't produce it out of thin air, but they must produce it every month, every quarter. If a huge company like Infosys, like Tata's, like massive companies, if they are able to provide you accounts statutorily, they are supposed to provide unaudited balance sheet, unaudited profit and loss account every quarter. The BBMP should be able to provide you an unaudited expenditure account. We should be able to do this when we can help it. So what I want to say is, unless you elect the right government, right people, you will not get good governance. Don't expect tomorrow that there will be a miracle. And the very same people who are in BBMP will suddenly have a change of heart and give you a deadly budget. And they will be very helpful to you to get your details. No, it's not going to happen. It's only going to happen if you ask questions and if you tell them that if you don't provide this information, we are going to replace you. And don't say that, what can I do? Of course, you can do a lot. Because this is not a big problem. This is 200 small problems, or rather 198 small problems. If we are able to get this detail for a big ticket expenditure like zonal works at the ward level, 100% all the other items will fall into place. That is the point that I wanted to make to you. It's been fantastic for me. You cannot imagine how thankful I am to all of you that because of you, I was able to go through these 11 presentations and learn about all this. Because before doing this, I have mostly worked in the rural sector. So I know how to track money, but looking at it for the city of Bangalore, and please understand, the city of Bangalore is bigger than many countries. It's bigger than some of the richest and some of the strongest countries in the world. It's bigger than Switzerland, for example. And we are looking at the lifeblood of the Bangalore city, which is the BBMP. So we can do this, but we need a small team of well-intentioned people, and we've cracked it. We've cracked it to about 50%. And the real climb of Mount Everest is now to find out the attribution to the ward, sector by sector, so that we can answer that one question: how much money is being spent in the ward? That is the most important thing, because that can energize 198 ward. Hello, can you hear me? So
Yes, I can.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Question is from Shamala. She's asking, what is the protocol followed to allocate discretionary funds? Is there an application that is made through some documentation process? That's what she's asking.
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I suppose what happens is that pressure groups will be going to them. Pressure groups, people will be going to them and asking them questions. And you see, some of the work would be necessary because, you see, for example, if there's a heavy rainfall in Bangalore, a few houses collapse. You can't say, I will sanction the budget and I will do this. So a discretionary fund is required. You give it. But not 800 crores. When you have 800 crores of discretionary fund, that and the whole budget itself, ultimately the whole budget is about 7,000 crores. And if you take out the salaries and that and this, then 800 crores becomes quite a bit of money. Almost about 12 to 15% of the budget is discretionary. That is a bit too much. As far as I know, there is nothing.
Now, I want to add here one more thing here about Raghunandan sir's presentation. The discretionary power, we had some problem in our layout in Ashwini layout. It was constantly flooding and I think our drains and road network was not good. Then we approached the commissioner at the time with all the photographs and other things. In that, after the commissioner going through all our representation, he has sanctioned about 97 lakhs for redoing all the drain and road. It has helped us. So, like that, there are some discretionary powers which is useful to the residents also.
No, but I want to say one thing, Mr. Nanjappa.
Anil
Is
Kumar.
this how a government should fund? Is this a Raja Praja system?
No,
What
but,
should happen is that the ward should be given the money, and the ward should you should not be fast to run to the commissioner every time with a petitioner. Avareno dana marta illa. That's
No.
our money.
Here, corporator is very much not helping us at all. He has got his own priorities. That's the problem here. He
Yeah,
has
but
to-
even then, this is a very ad hoc system as far as I am concerned to overcome an inconvenient corporator who has been elected by the people. We have to go to the commissioner and the commissioner sanctions.
Anil
Tomorrow the
Kumar, sir.
corporator may be, the commissioner may be bad.
Raghu,
It goes on like-
ರಘು ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್ ಗೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಗೊತ್ತು. ಅವ್ರು ಖುದ್ದಾಗಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಿಂತ್ರೆ ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು.
Namaskara.
ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಸರ್ ಇಂಟೆಂಟ್. ನಿಮ್ಮಂತವ್ರು ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಯಾರು ಹಿಂಗ್ ಬಾಲ ಬಿಚ್ಚಂಗಿಲ್ಲ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ MLA ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಬೀನ್ ರೂಟೆಡ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಪಂಚಾಯತ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದ BBMP.
Correct,
That
correct.
is also coming.
Correct. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point because we have to ask the question: do we need a Zilla Bangalore urban?
Yeah,
don't need
Bangalore
it.
did not require that.
It's essentially a rural body.
Yeah. But there are a lot of works done by Zilla Panchayat.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So the next question is from Shobha Reddy. Will making mayor's term 5-year help in any way to get BBMP function better?
Yes, actually, there are 2-3 what I say killer applications to get the BBMP to function better. One is with a lot of trouble, and I can say this has happened over a period of almost 2 decades. Today, for some reason, slowly the realization is coming that ward committees have to function. And very recently, I think it was last week or 10 days back, an order was passed saying that ward committees will work for the COVID response. Disaster management work will be done by the ward committees. Some meetings have been called. I've seen some photographs and all that. So at least the process of consultation is now becoming a habit, which was not the case 3-4 years back. That was not the case. But the point is, it is basically still a talk shop. People will come, they will say something, somebody else will respond, and so on and so forth. You know, a body really becomes powerful when it has control over a budget. There must be a ward level budget, and the ward level budget must be accurate. It is not some chillera. After all, in a ward, you know, you have fairly large numbers of people who are living, and so all these discretionary funds and all that must be broken down and put it at the ward level. And the ward money must come into a separate account so that it cannot be diverted or anything. Then you can have a different approach. In fact, in many of the large cities, if you go to Johannesburg, if you go to many other cities, you will find that for a large city, it has a 2-tier or 3-tier system. The corporation is very remote. A lot of work happens in the zone, in the ward, in the borough. It's called the borough. It happens there. There's a lot of internal decentralization, we don't have this in Bangalore. So I think that there are many ways in which we can move, and we have to be optimistic. And the tool that I am talking about today is the knowledge over the budget, which is not difficult to master, in my opinion.
Yeah. The next question is from Zia. When the work is awarded to a contractor, a contract number would be allocated along with it. Can't the contract number be tracked to understand the bill clearance system? And she also asked if you have any idea about the software that is used by BBMP or BDA to manage these projects.
That's an excellent point. and it has been tried and sabotaged. It has been tried and sabotaged. If you there was a body called the the chair of the body is it's a private NGO. It is run by Mr. R. Srikumar, who was the former DGP of police in Karnataka, one of the most competent police officers of Karnataka, and he was also the Central Vigilance Commissioner till I think 2014 or so. He was able to gain access. It was called the Society for the Transformation of something. I'm sorry, the name eludes me, but he was able to get access to the list of BBMP works. There were more than 30,000 BBMP works, including pending works. I am given to understand that he has now, the access to him has been stopped. But he was able to, at one point in time, provide a list of all the works, including the pending works, spillover works, etc. But now the data is not being provided. So obviously the data is there in the BBM. So what you can do is that if every work is given a unique number, and if expenditure is made on that unique number payment, then it automatically comes on to the portal. In fact, Brazil does something like that. It's called the transparency portal. In Brazil, no cash payments are made. All payments are made by what is known as a government debit card. So what happens is that when you swipe the government debit card after clearing a payment, the moment that the money goes to the contractor, immediately the payment is uploaded in real time, raw data, onto the transparency portal. So NGOs in Brazil were able to go to the transparency portal and really check in real time what the expenditure can be. This can be easily done in Bangalore. Now, as far as the accounting is done, there's a long story. During the BATF time, around 20 years back, a lot of private sector players did it pro bono. They started improving the BBMP accounting system, but at every single step, this has been sabotaged. So currently the BBMP system is not transparent, and it doesn't allow, it doesn't give real-time information. In fact, it gives you consolidated information almost a year and few months after the year has been completed, which is why you will find that we do not have even today. Today is July end. 3 months have passed. March, April, May, June. 3.5 months have passed since the end of the last financial year. We still do not have the expenditure details of last financial year.
Here I want to add here, sir, because there is already a program of works for everyone for the year. You get all the details on them, and every work has got a work order code. From that work order code, you can track all the works. Only thing is you are getting it little delayed. That's all the problem here.
Please provide that, because that will be very useful. I would request you to
every board has got a program of works. It's available in the ward office, this thing, their notice board. You can also ask for a copy. Then you can take out.
You will have to ask for a copy. You will have to ask for a copy. That's what
it's already displayed in the ward office. If you,
but there are 200 wards, you know. So the point is that this is not something that 1 or 2 people can do. There has to be a central coordinating effort, and a lot of people crowdsourcing this data from various places. The data is definitely available.
So through the work order, you know what work has been carried out and where it has been done. But only thing is you are getting it a little delayed. That's the problem.
I'll tell you what the problem is there. You see, if there is a specific work, for example, if you go to the works list, you will find that there are some very specific works. But when you find these discretionary grants, you don't know whether, and see, discretionary grants for pending bills is 300 crores. Which pending bill got cleared, for which work you don't know. So what happens is that you can chase the money, but you will not get a complete picture of it, and you will not get it for other departments. Let us even, okay, it's fine. Let us talk about works, zonal works only. But if we can do this more systematically, we should be able to nail this issue. We should be able to get it.
Earlier, they got a double entry book system was there. Now I don't know whether it's there or not. And earlier it was fully computerized. Everything was computerized, but at one time they purposely burned all the records because there was some scam.
Quite possible.
Afterward, there is no proper record in the BBMP for these works.
Correct. And the other thing is that the CAG audit also has stopped. because the state government has to request the AG to audit, and the state government doesn't request the AG.
Yeah. The next question for TR sir is, Shobha Reddy says that she's been working also with the urban forestry department, and she's realized that a lot of this work is done using paper or manually. So do you think that this is an issue of lack of capacity or lack of training to the accounting teams?
To some extent, yes, but this is easily overcome. My point is that, you see, how long can government officers say that we don't know computerization? Karnataka government has got one of the best state computer centers, which is now called the Department of E-Governance. And I can tell you, I mean, if you see the departments of e-governance of other states and all that, if you see their officers and the training facilities, it's top of the line. So I don't see any problem in training 50, 60 people. You don't have to train too many people for accounting. Because if you have somebody who knows, who is adept at computing on the, maintaining accounts on the computer, the output becomes fabulous, very good. So what are you talking about? You're talking about 60 people being trained. You certainly can do it. And I'll tell you, there are islands of excellence in Karnataka. You go to Karnataka Power Corporation, even go to BESCOM, not bad at all. Or Karnataka Power Transmission Corporation, everything is there. In KPTCL, you can, once your bill, it used to be like that, I don't know now, but if you have a bill pending, you are given a token number, and then every day you can check in real time where you stand in the queue and when your payment is supposed to come. So there's no corruption in somebody jumping the queue. So there are things like that have been done in many government departments, and surely that can be adopted here.
Can I just I just want to clarify that question. So what I meant was basically the DCF, who is supposed to be the heading that urban forestry division, is entirely dependent on some accounting staff who has been doing this process of budgeting for any number of years. And he's studying his figures. He's not even looking into the needs of the current year. Like, for example, they needed a ladder vehicle, and they needed funds for maintenance of the vehicle and all those kind of things. Those are not getting incorporated. It's basically some figures which he had about 10 years ago. He's adding 10% over that, and that's how they're preparing the budget. That's what I realized when I worked with that department.
Yeah. See, that is a big problem. That, in fact, this has arisen because of the burden of past over expenditure or past ad hoc expenditure. So everybody is bothered about covering up the backlog of expenditures, right? Because from 2013-14 onwards, as you can see, the number of work sanctioned is far more than the actual availability of money. So at some stage, you've got to draw a line. Unfortunately, in India, and I've mentioned this before in earlier presentations, we don't have a bankruptcy law for the city corporations. I mean, say if a company did the same thing, tomorrow they will be shut down. The creditors will come and shut down the company, right? But you cannot shut down a city corporation. Whereas in the US, New York has gone bankrupt in 1970s. A few years back, Detroit went bankrupt. And when they go bankrupt just like that. They are treated like any other body corporate. First you pay the creditors, only then you begin to start. So there are very stringent, what I call hard budget constraints that apply. But in BBMP, there is no hard budget constraint. We hear stories about the BBMP commissioner's car being seized and all that. It's all drama. After some time, nothing happens. But that's a very valid point. I mean, the other way is to look at it is to then just throw the entire accounting stuff and get the accounting done through somebody else. But the point is, from the citizen's perspective, I'm glad you're saying this because you have worked inside, so you know what the constraints are. But from a citizen's perspective, I don't think we should be too much worried about or bothered about what the constraints are. There is a law, we will ask them the questions and let them tighten up and provide.
Yes. The next question is by Raisa. It is the Standing Committee on Taxation and Finance that presents the budget. So can we file a PIL for demanding transparency in budget and provide institutional solutions or something of this sort?
I would welcome this. I would welcome this. The only problem about filing a PIL is it has to go to the right judge. And don't ask for the sun, moon, and the earth in a PIL, because judges get irritated if they see, all kinds of global requests in a PIL. PIL has to be drafted very tightly, and it has to specifically ask for something. So I would be very happy to participate in a PIL like this to help you to draft it.
Yeah. The next question is from Cynthia. What is the way we can monitor the social welfare activities such as allocations for disabled, for ST communities, women, children, hostels, schools, colleges run by BBMP? Is it at a ward level or a zonal level?
Cynthia, here the point is this, that there are 155 line items, as I said, out of which 60 odd line items pertain to payments made in the past. On the rest of the line items, some of them are very specific. Some of them are very specific to particular ward. They are very clear to particular works. I can give you a complete list. So if I give you a complete list, my guess is that out of the remaining 90 odd line items on which work is supposed to happen, you should be able to monitor to the specificity of the work in about 75% of them. Details are given. That way the social welfare budget is fragmented, but it is not inexact. It is exact. It is quite exact. The problem about the social welfare fund is not about the expenditure on the exact items, but it is on the spillover works, on the pending works. There are pending works and spillover work, block allocations are made. Those monies, you don't know where they are going. That is a worry. But the rest of the items are very clear. Tiny amounts of money, fragmented, but they are very clear as to where they will spend it on what precise issue. I can give you the entire list. We have the entire list, and you can follow up on that. Ward wise also you should be able to do it, because location of the work or the location of the beneficiary or even the ward is mentioned. So you should be able to do it.
I'm asking with a specific issue in mind. There was suddenly last month we got a request saying there is only a few days left. Let as many disabled people as possible, apply with a lot of documentation. They wanted income certificate, caste certificate, and voter ID card, Aadhaar card, and all that. And and there was only few days given, but so not very many people were able to actually. But they said they will give 5,000 for a disabled or 8,000 if he's an SC/ST. Amount will come, but it will take 2-3 months. Let them apply. It was very difficult for people to apply. They said they tried and tried to get people to apply. They could not get. This was the situation. Allocations are made, but there is no serious thing.
Yes, I've got the format in front of me, and I'm just going through all the programs here. The problem with social welfare is that there are so many fragmented programs that they don't do anything for the whole year, and in the last month they wake up, right? So what you need to do, and I can help you do this, I can give you the entire list to you, and I should be able to guide you on which are the programs where you should start moving right now. You should start moving right now, so that you don't have a problem and you are not caught by surprise at the end of the year.
Okay. Three hands raised. So I first invite.
Good afternoon, Raghunan sir. Thank you very much for the great session. I just have an update to provide. Sir, the RTGS paid, the list of works done, budget head, and who approved it, and the contract name, and how much approved money. That soft copy I've downloaded. So it's available from 1st April 2018 till 5th February 2019. Report is available in the BBMP website, sir. All the work done.
I'll be very happy to see it. Thank you so much. Please provide it to me.
Yes, sir. That's available. I'll send it across to you, sir.
Great. Because then what we can do is we can look at the connection between that and the previous year's budget. Something
yes,
that we can.
Yeah, for example, the award sanctioned by the Honorable Mayor in one of the construction project in Jayanagar, it shows around 10 lakhs paid through Impana Construction. For example, precise details are available. I'll share it.
Please provide it. Please
okay.
provide it.
Thank
you so much.
Yes, we still have Nanjappa and Pradeep, both of them raising their hands again. If they'll have to unmute themselves. Yeah, Nanjappa, please. Yes.
Sir, Madam, Namaste. Sir, Raghunandan sir.
Really.
I noticed in the several cases, I attended one case. In that case, sir, is it audible to you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
In the audit report of the BBMP, I have noticed that several crores of rupees is audit objectionable amount is there. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can we take any steps in that regard, sir?
Yes, actually, what happens to the audit objection is that the audit objection.
It is not 1 crore, 2 crore. There are several crores of rupees audit objection is there.
Correct. So what happens with the audit objection is that the audit objection is then placed before the assembly. The audit report along with the audit objections are placed before the assembly through the Housing and Urban Development Department. Then what happens is that it goes to the Public Accounts Committee, and the Public Accounts Committee calls the Housing and Urban Development Secretary to answer for it.
Okay.
When I was in the Rural Development Department, we said that there must be a separate Public Accounts Committee for local bodies. As far as I am concerned, I know that in rural areas there is a separate Public Accounts Committee that looks into the audit objections of rural bodies. I am not sure whether there is a similar arrangement for urban bodies, but it goes to the Public Accounts Committee. And before the Public Accounts Committee, the Commissioner of the BBMP will have to appear. And the money will, whatever, they will have to recover. If they order recovery, then the money will have to be recovered. And punishments will have to be imposed.
Okay, sir.
Yes. We had one Pradeep who had also raised his hand again. Pradeep Kumar, if you want to provide inputs, please unmute.
Yes, sir. Many works are pending in my area, sir. Last 2 years.
Yeah.
We don't have proper drainage, proper water line. We don't have. If you go and ask with the councillor or any people, they don't respond for us.
Yeah. So what we'll have to do is that we'll have to put pressure through the ward committee, and where we can help you is to give you at least a list of the allocations made to your ward. It will not be accurate, but we can tell you what are the attributable allocations made to your ward, so that on that basis you can do your bargaining with your corporator and say that all these items of allocation have already been made. Now you better get cracking on preparing the plan.
Because the corporator never turned up, sir. Turned up to our area.
You don't have
after
to
the election.
That's what I am saying. You don't have to wait for him to tell you. You are not his slave. We will give you the information, and you have to demand from him.
Yeah, sure, sir. We need a great experience now, sir. Like information.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Us to fight against him. Like
exactly.
Not even the MLA is turning up, sir. Every 5 years once, when the election is coming, they are coming.
Correct. So now we should be able to tell you with some amount of accuracy, more than before, what is the allocation that is likely to come to your ward, because that is there.
Sir.
From the budget we can tell you that. What is attributable we can tell you.
Yeah, sir.
And also, if I get the list of from Paniraj, if I get the list of the the pending works, and of the past, then we should be able to produce quite a bit of information for a ward. That should be possible. Yeah.
But we don't have any details now, sir. How much?
Correct. So we will provide you. No?
But now we are getting the details, sir. After I am attending this meeting.
Yeah, but we will provide you the details. So that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
that's why we have done this.
And one more thing, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. We have so much of details against the BBMP or councillor, MLA. What are the steps as we are citizen we are going to take, sir?
In what sense? I didn't understand. Your complaints against them?
Yeah, sir. Complaints against them, sir.
You will have to take it up with the Lok Ayukta. that is the legitimate way to go ahead is to take it up with the Lokayukta.
Okay, sir.
But the only thing is that the Lokayukta will ask you for an affidavit. You have to give
Yes,
an
sir.
affidavit, otherwise it will not be considered to be a legitimate complaint before the Lokayukta.
Yes, sir. Because in 2013 or 14, I remember, sir, they said some 100 houses are going to build by the government for our area, like
Yeah.
Jeevan Bikanagar Ward 88. But
Right.
still now, just I got an update only for the 10 houses they have approved, sir.
Is this for SC/STs or any particular community?
They didn't mention about the community, sir. They said
Okay,
only
because
those who don't have the house, proper house, like a sheet
because
for that.
what I have seen from the welfare budget is, in the welfare budget of the BBMP, that entire allocation was unspent. They made a big allocation for housing, and that entire
Yes, sir.
allocation was unspent in previous years. And now they have not made an allocation for housing.
Yes, the previous
I can
years
give
we
you
didn't get no,
details
sir.
of that. Pardon?
Many of them didn't get that house
Yeah.
fund, no, sir.
Yeah. So that is how the BBMP breaks promises. I mean, it makes promises and then breaks them, because it makes an allocation and then doesn't provide the money for that allocation.
Why is BBMP or BDA making promises and then breaking them? What is it for them to gain if they're not utilizing the money? For example, if they have said we will spend 1 crore, but they're spending only 50 lakhs, what is happening to the remaining 50 lakhs?
That's a very good question. I have tried to speculate about what could be the answer. And to me, the simple answer is corruption. The simple answer is corruption. I'll tell you why. You see, it's corruption and politics, because we as a people, we are stupid. Every mayor comes and wants to make a big boast saying that I made an announcement of 10,000 crore for a budget or 9,000 crore for a budget. Now, why does a mayor do that? Because the mayor gets his photograph or her photograph in the papers. And by next year, the mayor is changed, because there's no accountability for the mayor. The mayor changes next year. That's a stupid system. We've accepted this stupid system where we have a chief minister for 5 years. Of course, these days, chief ministers also get changed. That's a different issue. But a chief minister's term is not for 1 year. It is for 5 years.
5 years.
But a mayor's term under the law is for 1 year, which is the most stupid thing that you can have. Unless you have somebody there for 4 to 5 years, nobody can be held accountable year to year. That is number one.
Yeah.
Number two, if I announce a budget for 9,000 crore, I will sanction works for 9,000 crore. Then I will only spend 4,000 crore or 5,000 crore or 7,000 crore. Because I don't spend the remaining money, I can demand a bribe to make payment because I get discretion. That is how spillover works. That's how pending bills, all this becomes a industry. Third thing is, when I have pending bills, evidence of the work is lost. Like I was giving you the example of stormwater drain being clean. I'll say I've done it in 2016. My bill is pending. Today, if you inspect the place, you will not find any trace of my work. But if I bribe, I'll get my money. So this whole thing is fueled by corruption. I think we have the capacity to be systematic. Now, I can understand what is mentioned earlier, that some people, accounting people, are reluctant to change and so on and so forth. But you tell me, in a city that is supposed to be the IT capital of the world, we cannot do the computerization of our own city corporation accounts. Of course we can. But we don't want to do it. So to me, the theory of change is, you cannot change this unless you get rid of corruption, and you cannot get rid of corruption unless you elect honest people. That's a simple theory of change. As far as knowledge, capacity, everything else, I mean, there's a body of knowledge which builds up. If you had asked me 3 months back what I knew about the BBMP budget, I would have said zero. I know nothing. But today, I've learned something. And there are people adding to this. There are people who know much more than me, who are volunteering information. That's how we build the people's strength. But we have to finally elect good people. There's no other way. That's my final point.
Raghu sir, I had heard something about at least another aspect of corruption, that if you have a 10 crore project, then a certain percentage gets taken upfront.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that could be a reason reason to announce a big budget project or 9,000 crore project.
Exactly. In fact, Ramesh, when I do my corruption presentations, I will devote an entire session to corruption in procurement alone. Because I did a study for the UN Office on Drugs and Corruption looking at India's anti-corruption laws. And it's a pretty decent analysis that was done. It's a bit outdated, but things haven't changed since then. And subsequently, the Prevention of Corruption Act in India was amended, and we lost an opportunity. We lost an opportunity when Parliament amended the law to make the laws against corruption in procurement more stringent. So just to give you a short preview, there are 28 steps in procurement, right from the time that the bid is finalized till the time that the final earnest money deposit is returned. In every one of the 28 steps, there are ways to make money. And one of the ways of making money is exactly what you said. Announce a big project. Sometimes the contractor himself will write the project and give it to you and pay you a bribe for you to announce it. That's how we get white elephant projects.
Another reason that I was able to, at least my guess is that, let us say for something like education or welfare or something like that, and they have spent, let us say, 9 crore in the previous year. There will be people asking for more to be spent. So now you may announce a budget of 30 crore. So, okay, this year I'm going, 30 crore has been announced. So they stopped any kind of a discussion about that.
Yeah, exactly. You see, that is this spillover work happens due to snowballing of that psychology. That every year you announce, but then you end up with what is happening, like the picture that you get in Jeevan Bima Nagar. You announce 100 houses and then finally you give 10 houses. So somewhere people are going to get disappointed. But what you do is you keep on postponing the disappointment, say, next year I'm kodutini. Next year I'm increasing the budget, but next year it just goes on. But you're absolutely right. So these are all the reasons why people inflate budgets. There has to be a law. See, after all, in Government of India, for whatever it is worth, and for state governments, you have a Fiscal Responsibility Act. And as I mentioned in one of my previous presentations, there is no fiscal responsibility legislation applicable to city corporations. We must have an act that prevents a city corporation from overstating its budget.
Sir, is there any law to track down the variation orders that are given to a particular project? For example, sometimes the variation order itself becomes bigger than the project.
No, there isn't. Sadly, there isn't. Because what Karnataka has is, we have got a Transparency in Government Procurement Act. But the Transparency in Government Procurement Act, which is touted to be a great anti-corruption effort, is not. Because all that it says is that a tender has to be mandatorily done for every project. So this is exactly what happens. You give a tender. In the tender, you list out 10 conditions. And then you select L1 and give the project to L1. Then you change the conditions. After you assign the work, then you change the conditions. You say cost escalation. You say act of God. That the contractor only will write it for you. And you increase the size of the work. And there is no law. Unfortunately, there is no law. And therefore, my feeling is that the Transparency in Government Procurement Act has to be replaced. It's a it's an act which has outlived its utility. It's full of loopholes, and we need a much more comprehensive public procurement law, which actually regulates everything from the time that the bid is created till the time that the earnest money deposit is returned. Every single process can be done. And in fact, it has been done elsewhere. If you look at South Korea, if you look at many other countries, if you see what is known as the OECD procurement guidelines, they are very clear about, I'm not saying that in Western countries, procurement corruption doesn't happen, but petty corruption at this level will not happen. Procurement corruption in Western countries happens at a super level, at a very high level, but not at this level of municipal work.
One thought I'd like to share is that yes, many of these laws, I assume maybe all of these laws are perhaps made by the state assembly. But point for all of us to remember is that if we have a good elected body, even in the BBMP, nobody will prevent us from adopting better internal guidelines for ourselves.
Absolutely. You have hit the nail on the head. Nothing. See, it is not illegal to adopt more stringent conditions than what is in the law.
Yeah.
So
you can
even
create, Ramesh, if we can create a BBMP procurement manual, and BBMP can pass a resolution and adopt it. That's it. Can be done.
And in fact, we can make it something that would be a model for the state also.
Absolutely, you can.
Sir, one hypothetical situation where BBMP is won by, for example, AAP, but the state is governed by BJP. Can BJP control BBMP works?
The hypothetical seriyaಗಿ ಬರಲಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡೋಣ.
ಸರ್ 198 ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆಲ್ಲೋಣ ಸರ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡೋಣ.
The politics will be messy. Let me tell you, the politics is not going to be easy. The politics is going to be messy. But I always look at it as a cup half full. People are not going to give up their opportunities for corruption, for manipulation and all that so easily. They'll play dirty. But then that's how change happens in this country. It happens in a very messy way.
If I may add, that's how change happens all over the world. And in developed countries, they have fought and have been fighting these battles and winning these battles much more and much better than we have. I think we need to change things here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raghu sir. Janicia, are there any more questions? I think if we could take the last questions and.
No, these were the last final questions and comments.
Yeah. So anyone else has anything?
It's been a great education for me, these 11 presentations.
Thanks.
I look forward to doing them in Kannada.
Raghu sir, by the way, Suresh Rathod, who is on this call, he will help us coordinate with further Kannada sessions.
Great.
Get slides into Kannada, etc. Suresh, are you there? And there was also one more request from people outside Bengaluru, from Hubli, Dharwada, Mysuru, etc. Since corporations are all the same, could they also join? Like next week is the duties of the corporator.
Yes, because it's the same law. It's the same law. So if you come to the BBMP budget, everything is generic. Everything applies to everybody.
Right. So next week, generic we will also invite people outside Bengaluru, like anywhere in Karnataka, our supporters.
One point. Early ಕೆಲವೊಂದು provisions he can't.
I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Raghunandan sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for your update and information.
Thank you, Raghunandan sir.
Thank you.